But it is suggestive that when you ignore all the different mundane reasons, that there's something that we can detect. Okay, so here, this is like probabilities, and they've found that over the years of this experiment, that the effect of what they think is human consciousness impacting these devices is just getting bigger and bigger. The impact is getting bigger and bigger. They say, I mean, scientists tend to be very, very cautious. They think that they've found something really important. I think they've found something really important. But somehow, they have to be very careful about how they actually word this. They don't want to say, this is absolutely definite, but as the longer the project goes on, and the stronger the kind of correlation that they're getting, it's implying that they've managed to capture some way of the indication of the mass of human consciousness. So there's an article in a new magazine called Edge Science, and at that point they said the bottom line for a 10-year experiment is that we can graph a steady accumulation of the differences in the formal data, and basically the odds of this correlation is now 1 in 20 million. And it indicates that there's definitely some kind of correlation going on. It can't just be chance. And I find that this is very interesting. They said it can't be taken as proof of awakening of global consciousness, but it is suggestive that somehow the fact that this is going up and up and up, it's getting strong. This correlation between human consciousness and these machines is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think they've got something here. This is going to be seen in the future as being incredible, that they've done this work. And this has been going on in the background since, I think, 1998. It's quite interesting. Okay, now, there has been attempts by people to influence this mind, this global mind around the Earth. I just want to mention Fire the Grid and the idea of people meditating and praying to actually create balance around the planet. What I found interesting was the idea of people firing their own hexagons. And I'm thinking, what's this then? I talk about the diamonds, and I just want to point out the relationship, and I do this in my book, between the diamond and the hexagon. Okay? What's odd about this grid is I just don't recognize it at all. The picture, I just don't recognize this at all. I don't know where it comes from. There's no scientific, any kind of scientific analysis here, or any kind of work that indicates this is the real grid at all. And that's the only thing I can think there's anything like it, which is the Bruce Cathy grid. There's also people like Jose Aguiles, who is actually encouraging people to focus on what he calls the rainbow bridge. And he's encouraging people to meditate, to create a more balanced society. And I'm saying this because then you can look up Rainbow Bridge and find out more about this information, what these people are doing. Now, I'm going to do something that's a bit shocking now. I don't think this is serious, personally. I think it's not come out very well here. I feel that the most amazing programming that's gone on recently is the film Avatar. Have I pronounced that right? Avatar? I feel that millions of people were shown a paradise. And to me, we were given the choice, are we interested in a paradise? People were shown a planet that was, in fact, the whole story is a moon on it. That people were shown a paradise, and people were given a choice, are you interested in having paradise on Earth? The reaction to that film is absolutely incredible. I'm sorry that it's not very good, it's a little bit dark. But I feel we're starting to see a paradise appearing on Earth in very small amounts. This is a lake in Australia, and it seems to have a very high level of microorganisms. It's a bit odd. And what I want to do here is to explain that I actually had my own experience of a world of light. I was going through a very difficult time. I was very, very low, and I had this experience of seeing another world. And I just thought at the time, okay, maybe they're trying to cheer me up because things are really bad. I just felt, you know, it was like it didn't go on for a long time, but I saw this sort of like, it was like a Amazon rainforest type thing, but the whole thing lit up with light. It was infused with light, and I saw like these orbs raining down. But the point is really, at the time I just thought it's another world. If you want to read a description, the closest thing I've seen in the literature is an autobiography of a yogi. And Paramahansa, how you pronounce it, Paramahansa? Yogananda. He describes a light world. And his description is very similar to what I saw. I just thought it was another planet. But you know what? How do we know that's not going to be Earth in 500 or 1,000 years? And recently we've had such strange things. We have a professor in Norway, Professor Erling Strand, who's been investigating the light phenomena there for over 25 years, who now says we could be looking at another life form. He's even prepared to say that. He's explained that we have this energy raining down as orbs. There's many manifestations, but one of them is the raining down of this energy as orbs. Everything I saw in my, whatever it was, my experience, we are already seeing in bits and pieces on this planet. I'm sorry that the picture's so dark, but if you go to the Daily Mail and just type in Blue Lake, maybe that might come up, where the pictures are incredible of this lake with these organisms that are bioluminescence. If you type in Lake Australia bioluminescence, and they don't understand why it's just so full of light. But we're seeing a taste of this already on the planet. The other thing that's starting to get a bit strange is the fact that scientists, the pharmaceutical industry, are complaining that the placebo effect is getting stronger on the planet. And the funny thing about it is when you see the analysts talking, they are literally frothing at the mouth with anger that humans are healing themselves with sugar pills just by their beliefs that it will do them good. They're even doing experiments now where they tell people this is a useless sugar pill. Take it, and people are getting better. That's even worse, that's even more upsetting for them. When humans, the idea with the experiments and with the placebo is that you literally do an experiment, you say, well, this is a tablet. You don't tell them if it's placebo or if it's the real drug. And then you just work out what the difference is, that the drug is effective. Because the idea is that the placebo is supposed to be useless. But that's not true. The placebo used to have an effect of like 30% of the healing. They could measure that by people being given a sugar pill by somebody in authority that they believed in, that people would just get better. And so the drug had to be substantially better than the placebo. However, in the last 30 years, some scientists, and we're talking Harvard scientists now, we're not just talking ordinary scientists, we're talking the top-level scientists, are now saying they believe they've detected that the placebo effect has doubled in 30 years. And it's causing a real problem because a lot of the old drugs cannot beat placebo anymore. And it's almost like, I personally feel, this is my opinion, that the pharmaceutical industry have been taking advantage of spiritual laws, and the rules are changing. They've built a multi-billion-dollar industry on spiritual laws about the power of intent and belief. Okay, people believe if they take this drug, it will do them some good. They believe that, and it's been merged in with the sort of the chemistry and that kind of work that they've done. But the belief thing is now taking over from the chemistry thing. So they don't even want to admit it. When they say that the placebo is doubled in 30 years, do they really mean it's now 60% of the healing is just pure placebo? Whatever, it's like a massive shock to the pharmaceutical industry. And they're actually now joining forces, actually pooling their data to understand what the placebo is. I personally think it's incredible. We are seeing incredible things, but it's like being able to understand how this connects with the changes on the planet. I just want to point out to people, if you're into healing or healing energies, if you've not come across this book, this is quite, I think this is taking the whole healing issue to another level of understanding. To me, this book points out all the issues with healing and what's going on. It's not necessarily good, but I think it's a step forward, identifying issues. So it's good in that way. But basically, this is a sociologist who used to, well, he's been healing people on the side, and he started doing experiments with mice. This book is incredible because he's been doing, I think he's done about 6 or 7 different types of experiments where they basically injected the mice with a cancer-forming agent. And the idea is generally, the mice normally die about day 20. If the mice dies in day 27, the mice has done really well, but they're guaranteed to die. And he's been doing experiments where he's been putting his hands and healing mice. He's a healer, no question about it. Then he started teaching skeptics how to do it. And this is where it gets really interesting. He was picking his students, he was picking other professors. This is all going on in Canada, sorry, in New York, it was actually New York, sorry I got that wrong. And he was teaching skeptics how to heal, which is fine. And he got a very high success rate. The issue was they had control mice that were also getting healed. They had terrible problems because the way that the experiment was set up was that the healers were being told to put their hands on the cages with the mice and then have these control mice that were on site somewhere on the university campus. But they were getting healed too. So they were having to do stupid things like inject the mice and put the mice in another city because those mice were getting healed too. And they also had problems with the healers in that once their mice, they could see that their mice were getting healed because they were basically 1 hour a day, every day they were healing these mice. They'd go looking for the other ones, the control mice, to see if they're okay. Just by going to visit the control mice, they were getting healed too. It completely broke the protocols of the experiment. And basically, he had a very, I think it was like 86.7. It was a very high level of healing of the normal mice. There was a few mice that died because they had bad lungs and other things like that. And a few, over like 4 or 5 experiments, he did have some failure. But remember, this is mainly skeptics. He was teaching skeptics how to heal. He was the healer, he was the conduit, and he was basically, through resonance, creating healers. Now, I'm not interested in even though it's wonderful there's a healer, it's what's going on with the connection